Welcome, friends, to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives, and if you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you get all things DutyRon, and he's back in his regular position, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Hey, tonight we got a great live stream for you. We are going to be talking about the Danelo Cavalcante manhunt that ended yesterday in very dramatic fashion. But we have reporter ChrisO'Connell from Fox 29. You know, I've been communicating, Ed, with him throughout this whole thing, and we've been relying on some of his footage for boots on the ground corresponding. And he did an unbelievable job through the network of covering this case, like hours on end, 5-6 hours a shift. And some of his stuff, when it came from the air and from him on the ground in the truck, were really a great perspective for us to take a peek at and see what this terrain looks like. How you doing tonight, Ed?
Good. I love this coverage. I love that truck. I love the cameras layouts they have all over that truck. It was pretty impressive. It was good coverage. Plus, it was a great day for law enforcement and an even better day for canines. So
Yeah,
all I could say is, who's a good boy? Yoda's a good boy.
Yeah, man. What a great, I mean, you and I, everybody knows we're lovers of the dogs and animals in general. But when we saw the work that Yoda did, Customs and Border Protection came in. They sent him in when this guy started shimmying on all fours and trying to crawl away like a snake. They let the dog loose, and people in the chat were saying, and now here in the chat, but people all along were like, just let the dogs loose. Remember that conversation?
Who let the dogs out?
Who? Yeah. So I mean, day 14. Cavalcante was located by that sophisticated DEA fixed-wing aircraft, and due to some lightning and dangerous weather conditions, they grounded that aircraft for safety reasons.
Yeah, it was lightning out.
Yeah, understandable. But they had this double perimeter, according to Lieutenant Colonel Blevin. He talked about a perimeter around his last sighting from that aircraft. But I also heard him say that they did a secondary. So if Cavalcante broke or penetrated, got out of that first initial perimeter, that they would have a secondary. So they were ready, night vision goggles, the whole thing.
NVG.
Yeah, so they were ready to go. But yeah, so we got a great guest. He is out at the Eagles home opener, and he's doing that coverage, but he's in the news truck. So he just texted me. He's going to be joining us in a few minutes. But before we get into it, let's just say a quick thank you to our Patreon supporters, the channel members, the folks who buy us cups of coffee, the super thanks people who watch the videos on replay and send us super thanks, and to the live chatters and the moderators. We got some great moderators in the chat to keep everything nice and civil. So let's give thanks and praise to you guys, because without you, we really got nothing. And that's what makes this a great place. So thank you guys for everything you do.
Amen. Ditto.
So I got a small clip from, coincidentally, Fox 29. Chris is not on this clip, but it's a recap from the beginning to the end. And it's a short 5-minute condensed recap. So let's play this, and hopefully by the time we're done playing it, Chris shows up. Do you have anything else that you might want to add into the capture, the dog, the method that they use?
I know who knew Yoda liked Brazilian food.
Yeah, right.
He did a great job. All that stuff about the gun being sawed off was all nonsense. That wasn't the case.
Yeah,
Okay.
We saw several outlets talk about it quite a bit, do a lot of live streaming and news coverage. But Ed, yeah, what was your thoughts on how this all went down?
Well, like I said, it was a couple of different things that all came together at the right time in the right place with the right weather. I think the weather had a big thing to do with Cavalcante kind of grounding himself, with the thunder and lightning and the rain moving in. And so between the burglar alarm going off, a sighting by a civilian, and having the right team, the customs team in place, being backed up by the state police, they implemented a good plan, and there was no way he was getting away last night.
Yeah. Bortak and company were in full force. Yoga is a 4-year-old Belgium. What is that? A Melianos? This German Shepherd breed is really, I know I didn't say that right, Ed. How is that pronounced? Go ahead. Correct me.
I don't get it right either. So don't kill yourself about it.
Noise. Anyways, Customs and Border, the Bortak, he came onto the set. He 4 years young, a nice young pup. And every time you see him, he's got his tongue out of his mouth and he's ready to go. So we're going to show some pictures of him. But I love that, he was the one, a man's best friend. A dog was the one.
Malinos.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's Eileen phonetically spelling it out for us, sounding it out for us. It's all good. Hey, everybody knows what we're trying to say. So let's play this piece because this gives you the beginning to the end, and then hopefully Chris comes up on the set as soon as possible. I'm going to text.
I think that was the same breed that was in. There were Halle Berry's Harry Berry's dogs in John Wick 3, and also swing. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know our military special ops, our SEALs, and our Delta teams, they carry those dogs. I know the Israeli Special Forces carry them. Yeah. I really mean carry them. You're a badass when you have an attack dog holstered to your waist.
Right. We're going to show a bunch of pictures and some footage of him, but let's let this rip. I just got the text message. I didn't even have to reach out to him. Chris said he'll be here in 5 minutes. So this is going to be perfect timing. All right, here it is. This is Fox 29, Chris's station. Let's have a listen.
The manhunt is over. Convicted killer Danelo Cavalcante has been captured and is now at CSI Phoenix in Montgomery County. For almost 2 weeks now, 13 days, Cavalcante was on the run.
And every day it was like there was a new development. There were new sightings. He stole the van. He changed his appearance. We had an update for you all every day along the way. And Shana Ferreira, you've been going through it all, this little 2-week history, if you will, and you're going to lay it out for us here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A sigh of relief, of course, for communities, not just within Chester County, but really around the nation, as the story of escaped prisoner Danelo Cavalcante really captured the eyes of millions. And tonight, we have to break down how we got here from beginning to end. The manhunt for 34-year-old Danelo Cavalcante finally coming to an end in Chester County 2 weeks after escaping from prison. So how did we get here, and why the urgency for law enforcement to find him? Let's start here. Cavalcante was just sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole back on August 16th for the violent murder of his ex-girlfriend, Deborah Brandau. Police say Cavalcante stabbed Brandau over 30 times in front of her 2 young children. A probable cause affidavit shows Brandau filed a protection from abuse order against Cavalcante back in 2020, a year before her murder in April of 2021. Cavalcante is wanted in his native Brazil for a 2017 homicide case, and according to investigators, when his former girlfriend learned of the case, she threatened to expose Cavalcante to police. In a statement from the Chester County DA's office shortly after he was formally sentenced, that was the motive for the murder of Deborah Brandau. He was sentenced back on August 22nd. Fast forward to August 31st, just 9 days after his formal sentencing, Cavalcante made his bold move to escape from prison. Seen here on surveillance video, crab walking his way out of the Chester County Jail, scaling his way through razor wire and across rooftops before scaling down and off the property. His escape happening just before 9 a.m. on August 31st. About an hour later, officials notice he's missing after inmates were brought back in from the exercise yard. The facility went into lockdown and put law enforcement on high alert. The intense search for Cavalcante began. The first sighting of the escaped prisoner on September 2nd. recorded just before 2 a.m. on a residential Ring doorbell camera on the 1800 block of Lenape Road in Pocopson Township, a little over a mile away from the prison. Wearing a white t-shirt, white sneakers, and a backpack. Then to September 4th, where he was spotted twice on a private trail camera in Longwood Gardens, about 5 miles southwest of the prison. On September 7th, a $20,000 reward for information leading to Cavalcante's capture and the firing of the corrections officer who was on duty in the guard tower when Cavalcante made his daring escape. September 9th, Cavalcante slips out of the police search perimeter and allegedly steals a white Ford van from Bailey's Dairy. The van was apparently unlocked with the keys inside. Just before 10 p.m. that night, Cavalcante is again captured on a video doorbell camera at a residence in East Pikeland Township, more than 20 miles from Longwood Gardens, at a house that belongs to a man who once worked with Cavalcante. For the first time, we see a bit of a difference in his appearance. The previously bearded fugitive is seen clean-shaven, sporting a green hooded sweatshirt and a dark...
I'm going to stop it just for a second because Monique, this super chat, thank you for the $2 super chat. That's a great question. You know, who braided his hair? Yeah, there's a possibility he could have done that himself. I know Ed Wallace could probably do that himself if he had hair that long. But I don't know. Ed, what do you think? Like, he had those braids all around his head. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe when he broke into one of those houses, he did it. He obviously shaved somewhere, so maybe he took a shower and he did it himself.
She definitely got the question of the live stream right there, because I didn't even think about that aspect. So, but
I didn't think his hair was long enough to do that, but I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look back to.
Did he steal somebody's extensions?
I knew Ed was going to come up with something funny. I mean, his hair didn't seem well, whatever.
Leading to Cavalcante's capture and the firing of the corrections officer who was on duty in the guard tower when Cavalcante made his daring escape. September.
Notice the ladies are saying it's not hard. You know, maybe for a guy it might be a little more tough, but who knows? He could have did it himself.
9th, Cavalcante slips out of the police search perimeter and allegedly steals a white Ford van from Bailey's Dairy. The van was apparently unlocked with the keys inside. Just before 10 p.m. that night, Cavalcante is again captured on a video doorbell camera at a residence in East Pikeland Township, more than 20 miles from Longwood Gardens, at a house that belongs to a man who once worked with Cavalcante. For the first time, we see a bit of a difference in his appearance. The previously bearded fugitive is seen clean-shaven, sporting a green hooded sweatshirt and a dark-colored baseball cap. The former co-worker wasn't home. Officials added he tried to contact another former co-worker, but that person wasn't home either. On September 10th, 11 days after his escape, the stolen white van is found abandoned with no gas in a field behind a barn in East Net Mill Township. Still no sign of the escapee until the evening of September 11th, when the search only heightens in intensity after Cavalcante allegedly steals a .22 caliber rifle with a scope and flashlight from a resident's garage on Coventryville Road in East Net Mill Township. According to police, the homeowner, who was in the garage at the time, fired several shots at Cavalcante with a pistol, but the fugitive ran off unscathed. The convicted murderer, now armed, rocking the sense of safety for neighbors and communities in and around the search perimeter. Investigators also revealed that Cavalcante's prison shoes were recovered, and another neighbor reported a pair of work boots stolen from their porch. The reward for his capture increasing to $25,000. On September 12th, immediate area schools shut down as police closed in on the perimeter in Pottstown. Then, on the morning of September 13th, Danelo Cavalcante was taken into custody around 8 a.m. after his heat signal was tracked by aircraft and tactical teams. Officers were able to move in quietly surrounding Cavalcante with an element of surprise, as Pennsylvania State Police said. Cavalcante was found hiding under a pile of logs in South Coventry Township. Still armed with a stolen .22 caliber rifle, Cavalcante tried to crawl away from tactical units closing in, and investigators say a Canine unit bit him, held him down.
I love that the Canine Yoda bit him on the head. You see it right up on the top. He really must have opened his mouth super wide and bit him on the top of that head. So that's awesome.
And he was taken into custody. Shayna Ferreira. So Governor Josh Shapiro applauding, of course, the work of law enforcement, adding anyone who helped Cavalcante during this time would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, though it's unclear if anyone did. Cavalcante was.
So that was pretty good coverage, Ed. I wanted to quickly, because I just saw Chris join in, and I'm going to give him time to set up. And once he gives me the thumbs up, I'll add him in. Hey, Ed, let's clear up the air about this heat sinking flare technology, because people are still on it. Ed, you laugh about it, but I saw a news outlet cover this again today, and there was a female news reporter, and she was explaining how cloud cover can interfere, how the heat on the ground can interfere. Let me finish. And also how weather, meaning lightning, can interfere with the technology. Ed?
Well, lightning definitely, yeah, because it's enhancing what little light is out there. So you get a burst of light. It's like having night vision goggles on, or your thermal imaging. When that burst of light comes out, it could mess up the sensors for a little bit. For instance, if you have like a thermal imaging exterior cameras on your house, like an Arlo system or Lornex or a Flare system on the house, if you go outside at night and you take a flashlight and point it at those lights, you're going to cause them cameras to malfunction for a brief moment in time until you take away the flashlight, because they were in infrared mode or thermal imaging mode, and you just overwhelmed it with a whole bunch of light. So that's different. Okay. Now, if you're up in the clouds in a drone, and you're trying to look through the clouds with thermal imaging or infrared, it's going to be the same thing as a canopy on treetops. It's going to interfere with your ability to see.
Right.
All right. With that, but the ground heat, never.
No, because you were explaining that they use it also to find and when you have forest fires and you have firemen that are down in burning buildings and so forth, or burning locations out in the middle of the wilderness and so forth. So that
handheld thermal imager that I showed you, that is used by firemen to locate down firemen inside of fires. Now think of the temperatures that can be obtained inside of a burning house.
Right.
Okay. And understand that they are able to distinguish between the heat of a fire and the body heat of a person.
Let me ask you this, Ed, hypothetically, and Chris, I see you in the green room. When you give me a thumbs up, you'll let me know you're ready. Okay, I got the thumbs up. And this also could have been a tactic by law enforcement to put that information out there, meaning to throw this suspect off if he did have access to listen or had friends on the outside, as we suspected he did, that were listening to these reports. And then maybe they could tell him, hey, it's safe to move because that technology isn't working. It's too hot out. So a lot of people don't think the way detectives think, the way investigators think. We always want to be a step ahead of the bad guy. So if we give and expose our cards to him or any suspect that's on the run, and give all of everything the correct way, sometimes we got to let it work, is what I'm saying, to our advantage. Yeah. What do you got up on the screen?
Well, retired Irish detective put up, can you set the search temperature? And that's absolutely correct. On the handheld units and on the thermal imagers that I have, you can change the range of temperature that you're searching for. Okay. So yeah, you can do that. Definitely.
All right, let's get Chris in here real quick. I want to just play a little piece from day 9. This is from outside of Longwood Gardens. This is our good friend, Chris O'Connell. Some of his reporting. I believe here he goes over to a homeowner and does a quick interview.
Wanted to know, could I talk to you? Do you mind if I ask you one quick question just about living here? Brian? Real quick. We're live streaming now on Fox 29. We were talking earlier. First of all, I got to mention the first rule. Your dog, what is his name?
Oh, it's Barrett.
I love
Barrett.
It. He went right for the
We
dog.
always like to include the dog. What is your name, sir?
Jim Haran.
Jim, you live right across the street from the search area. You're in the search zone right now. You were away on business, and then you came back, and you knew what was going on. What's going through your mind now that this escaped killer could be hundreds of yards away from
you? It's crazy. I mean, it's kind of surreal, that this is going on right now. It's it's nuts.
people who may not live here, what is the emotion like? Are you frightened? Are you locking your doors? Are you taking those precautions?
No, the police have been great. I mean, they've been everywhere. They're stationed up in Unionville. I felt safe the whole time.
How long can you last here? Because it's been going on 9 days, and it seems like frustration is beginning to set.
I think we're pretty close. Yeah. So, God willing.
Is tonight the night?
I think so.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Stay.
So there he is, our good friend Chris O'Connell from Fox 29. Chris has been with Fox 29 for 13 years. He did an unbelievable job of live streaming the search for Danelo Cavalcante. Some nights he was live for 5, 6 or more hours. So I want to introduce our good friend Chris O'Connell from Fox 29. Thank you for taking out the time, Chris, for joining.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to have you.
You know, Chris, Ed and I have been talking about you. I don't know if your ears have been ringing, but we've been talking about you all along since we started covering this search, and you've been on it for at least 10 plus days. The perspective that you brought to the YouTube audience, to the world through Facebook and YouTube was like nothing else I've ever seen. There was 12,000 people watching you on your live streams, and we can't thank you enough for bringing us that local perspective. Chris, I wanted to just get maybe some of your thoughts on how this all unfolded and how it was for you and your cameraman, a dangerous guy out on the run. You guys are out in the middle of nowhere covering this story.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. This was a story unlike any other I've ever covered. Been in the business about 30 years. This was a manhunt that, first of all, it started as a prison escape, a local county prison with an inmate that shouldn't have been there. Danelo Cavalcante was in a county prison, and by, I don't know if it's protocol, but normal procedure, within a day, he gets transferred out of state prison. Reason why is local wardens don't want a convicted killer in their prisons. They're not supposed to be there, so they don't want the liability of that. So why he was there an extra week after his sentencing was is a question that needs to be answered. And secondly, the escape. So those are questions that need to be kind of answered on a higher level. In terms of the manhunt, it was 14 days of terror for people who lived in these neighborhoods. People who live in kind of near the prison understand there might be a risk of an escape, but they're not convicted killers. So when he is out there, and then we learned that he was wanted for another murder in Brazil, this was a bad dude. And then, in the first few days of his escape, there was this underlying impression that maybe he didn't know what he was doing and he didn't know the area. Well, then we knew, this guy grew up in the rainforest, and now we know later that he grew up, in pretty much poverty and learned how to fend for himself, and being behind the 8 ball his life. That's kind of the way he grew up. So we learn more about his survival skills and things like that. So for covering it, the one thing, we cover major news all the time. I've covered many major national stories in my career, but this was the first one where we were able to use our technology to cover it minute by minute as it was happening. And with local news, we have certain time slots. You watch the 6 o'clock news and you watch the 10 o'clock news, and there's lots of time between them. Well, we have digital platforms now, so we can utilize those platforms to get out the news. And this story kind of lent itself to a live stream that I did for several nights at 6 hours a clip.
Yeah, and there was people that were just attached to their phones, to their TVs, to their computers, watching every step of the way. You driving along from location to location, and I wanted to ask you quickly, just to get this out of the way. The story you mentioned, that Danelo Cavalcante shouldn't have probably been in a county. They call it a prison, but it's a county jail. This is where
Right.
they hold people who are serving under a year or up to a year. In some jurisdictions, it's up to 2 years. It varies from state to state, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But generally speaking, it's for inmates that are sentenced to, lower crimes in a shorter amount of time. Will your Fox 29 or any of the news outlets cover the story of, the missteps here? We got information after the fact that there was an inmate that escaped in May of 2023. They hired an outside company to come in and shore up and put extra barbed wire and things of that nature, but that didn't work. He was able to still get out of that facility, get up on the roof, and then walk out of that expansive compound undetected. I'm just curious if Fox News or any of the local outlets are going to follow up on that story.
Well, those were some of the first questions we asked, and there were daily briefings, and our reporters and other reporters were asking those questions. The answer was, we're going to be looking into that. We are going to launch our own investigation, but right now we are focused on capturing Danelo Cavalcante. Well, he's been captured, and those questions will and are being answered. And I do know that District Attorney here has started an internal investigation into the mishaps. After the first escape, there were changes made at that prison, but they were only physical changes. They added the barbed wire. They added a couple physical changes. One thing they didn't change was the personnel, and that was the real breakdown in this one. There was a guard that was on duty, and he didn't see. He should have seen. They didn't find out until head count a while later, maybe an hour later, and that corrections officer has been terminated.
Yeah.
Now, was that the tower officer, or was it supposed to be somebody monitoring that camera?
I'm pretty sure it was the tower officer or someone to that effect, someone who was looking at the exterior.
No.
Okay, so then why have these cameras if nobody's monitoring them?
Well, you saw how he got out. There's video of them coming out. So yeah, those are questions that are definitely going to be answered now, because, like we said, authorities, had pushed him aside until this was done.
And gentlemen, we can all agree that there is a ton of extra video. It just didn't end when he shimmied up that wall. And there's video on top of that facility. There's video on the perimeter. So there's so many different angles to that escape that are not released to the public. But hopefully the district attorney and through, FOIL requests, we may see some of that in the future. But the key thing here is we have to learn by our mistakes. We're human beings, right? But this stuff is it's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, I had my niece on here with us 2 nights ago. She's got a newborn at home, and they live in that area. They live minutes from Longwood Gardens, and they were scared to death. Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, continue.
Along with senior citizens and folks who couldn't fend for themselves. Think about this. Somebody who is on oxygen or is getting home care every day. Now those home care attendants can't even come into those zones to help them. That's what I was hearing about. And I didn't see much, obviously, reporting on this because the reporters were concentrating on this fugitive. But there was many people who required home visits from home health companies that were not allowed to come into that zone. But go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Well, I'm just getting back to the camera. Look, this software, this isn't anything new. There's software for the CCTVs for security purposes that have will identify anomalies in the images, and then they'll put a rectangle around a suspicious thing and then set off alarms. Yeah. If you're going to have these kind of systems and you're not going to have them manned, then at least have that, so that when some anomaly like this occurs, it'll set off an alarm that somebody can go look at in real time, instead of looking at the images hours later after the guy has already escaped.
Yeah. Well, I had a corrections on with us, a corrections professional from New Jersey, and he said this inmate went out in the beginning of that hour-long rec time. So he planned this. So he knew that the count wouldn't have happened until 60 minutes later. And he had that hour buffer because he did it in the beginning of when they were out in the yard, that was smart thinking on his behalf. Chris, I know you got limited time, so I got to ask you these questions. I got a whole bunch of stuff, and there's people in the chat. If you do have an extra 5 minutes, I'd like to go interactive and ask some of the people to put hashtag Fox29 in the chat. And if you don't mind, we can I'll cherry pick a couple of questions for the viewers to ask you. I watched you and your videographer. I know he corrected you. You called him a cameraman, right? He was like, I'm a videographer. Come on now.
No.
Photojournalist.
I didn't call him a cameraman. They don't like cameraman. It all depends. Some like different versions. So some like videographer, video journalist.
You called him something that he didn't like, and
I called him videographer. He said video journalist.
Chris, you were riding around with your video journalist, and it was in the middle of the night. I think it was day 9 or 10. Don't hold me to this, but there was a guy on the front lawn with a flashlight on a corner house, and you guys stopped the truck and backed up. It was one of the nights that, you were just driving around down these small winding roads. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah.
Guy flashing a flashlight, and you were like, this is what we're seeing. Were you seeing a lot of that? Were you seeing a lot of residents carrying firearms on their property, guns slung over the shoulder? People want to know, like, what was the vibe in some of these areas that you were, where it was more populated, where there were more homes?
Well, I can tell you, we made a cognizant effort not to be in the active search zone. We happened to be in the search zone when there were some active searches. We became the search zone at one point. But when we know there's something going on, we will kind of move as far away as we can. And I told you before, Ron, I have 3 rules, and they go in this order. Number 1 is our crew safety. I want to keep us as safe as possible at all times, and that means putting us in physical locations where it's safer. We can't be. We go into some dangerous situations. We go into shooting and homicides on a regular basis, but this was different. So we make sure our crew is safe. That is the number 1 rule. Number 2, we stay out of law enforcement's way, because we don't want to be in the action and be part of it and use law enforcement or EMS resources because we got hurt. So we stay out of and then the third is to get as close as the action as we legally can to bring the story home. So that's kind of my big thing. We always look out for safety. So when we were driving around, we saw lights and things like that. A lot of them were police officers in the distance with flashlights and search teams. But I did speak with people during the day. One couple in particular who owned 75 acres of farmland. They leased most of it out, but they lived on a beautiful home, a stone home that was built in before 1800, I think. And they were sitting on their front porch having a beer as the sun went down. And I stopped and I said, you mind if I come in? And they invited me on their porch. And I sat down with them for about 45 minutes. And they lived there all their lives. This was their homestead. And they spent the night away before because they were scared, but they wanted to come back. And this was the night where he was spotted. This was like a couple hours before he was spotted. And we spoke with these people, and I asked them, "Are you scared?" And they said they were nervous, they were anxious, but they were confident that nothing would happen to them because literally every resident I spoke with had a firearm. This is in rural Chester County, horse country, where guns are common, so everyone had a gun. So were they riding around? We weren't stopping people. We didn't see, we saw a few people. We saw one guy on a powder blue scooter. You probably saw his picture. He was in tactical gear and Van sneakers, wearing and driving a powder blue scooter. So we did see those images. So people were taking it seriously. But again, this is in rural country, so having a firearm wasn't a huge deal.
Hey, Chris, do you sometimes have security provided for you by the station?
We do.
Yeah.
Not all the time. In this, we didn't. Just because, again, we weren't putting ourselves. I know it's a dangerous situation, but it's.
This would have been the time that I would have said have security. Not for nothing, but
no, when we need security, honestly, it's or when we get security, it's times when there's large crowds around.
Yeah.
When we like the Super Bowl win. When you need to do your job, I have to concentrate right here. I can't worry about what's going on behind me. When I'm sitting in a truck doing this, I'm pretty protected. I got a guy next to me that has his hand on the wheel and the foot on the gas, so we feel okay. It's when we do have security, it's when it's large crowd situations, riot situations, political type situations. That's when we have company Fox Security with us.
And I'm guessing your studio doesn't allow you to carry a gun.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But I speaking about your truck though, that truck is pretty cool with all the camera setups that you have on it.
Yeah, it's a outfitted Ford F-150. That's basically the back is equipment storage. The middle, where would be the back seat, is all of our editing equipment. Some, a seat back there, a desk where we could do some communications, and then in the front, it's outfitted with, I think it's 5 cameras. One that's
underneath the vehicle.
Yeah, there's one that's facing the driver that you saw me. Then there's one on top that I can control. Then there's one that's just front facing, and then there's one under the wheel. The wheel one is for like weather. The truck we use is really used for weather coverage when there's storms or tornadoes, or we need to get through flooding and stuff like that. That's what the truck is made for. We call it the Beast.
So is it 4x4 and lifted?
Yes. Yeah. Heavy. I'm not a truck mechanic guy, but I know it's a heavy piece of machinery.
There was a lot of people in your chat, and I watched quite a bit of it. I couldn't watch it all, but there was a lot of people in your chat, and that was a repetitive question. Are you armed? Are you safe? Because, you're looking at some of this footage, and I'm going to go back on to some of your footage, Chris. So we're off the screen now.
Mm-hmm.
This is just you guys driving around, pulling over. I think this was from 6 days ago. So this was, quite a bit back in time, but this was the night when those people were out for that $20,000 reward in the cornfields or in the high grass here, out there, with going in and looking for Danelo Cavalcante for the reward. And I know that you did speak on it, and so did Lieutenant Colonel Blevins. He basically said, we would rather you guys not do this, but we can't stop you, and you guys had coverage of some of them. I'm trying to get to that part. I think it's fast forward right around here. Yeah. So here's guys coming out of the woods. You guys were just pulled off to the side, and I guess you were working your camera. Do you remember this night?
I honestly don't.
It's 6 days ago. So, but these are.
I honestly don't. I've been, again, 6 hours of cover. I'm kind of looking at now. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I remember this because I was watching it. It was late at night, and they were going through here, and all I thought of is if there's some guys, tactical guys embedded in those locations, it could have really gone bad for them,
Yeah.
So that's the way I was looking at it. And
yeah, they were really well, first of all, on location there, when you saw how many law enforcement were there, they were really stopping. There was one guy that I don't know if you got a chance to, and I think you did, Ron, see the guy who was stopped by police.
Yes, yes.
Not only they were on edge, they were on edge. So there was a guy who just like these people who wanted to, look and see things, and see the action. They came down, and this guy was driving his truck, and police thought it might have been a Cavalcante. So they pulled him out of his truck. They handcuffed him, guns drawn. And I talked to him moments later. He was rattled.
Right.
Yeah. So people were just coming out to look. Now I do remember this.
Female walking out.
Yeah.
Walking out into who knows where. I mean, it's hard to see because this is the night vision for you.
Yes.
But it looks like it's high grass that goes into thick brush.
Yeah. That was exactly the whole neighborhood there. That's what, you could go a couple hundred yards, and, a lot of these people were kind of following the action, following the media. So some of the people you were seeing weren't necessarily residents who live there. They might've been citizen type journalists. Yeah. We saw a lot of them, like YouTube streamers and citizen journalists. We call them gonzo journalists. Mm-hmm. A couple of them were out there, and they were just, killing it. In terms of it's a different kind of style of journalism, but they were in there. They were getting contacts. They were talking to people, and they were really doing well out there. So,
yeah, and there was many of them. And when you have something of that's on the grandstand like this was, not just Fox 29, every News Nation was out there. It was picked up by a lot of local and news outlets that are from outside of that general market, right? So having these live streamers, people on TikTok, I would assume, going live, and all the different social platforms, it just added to the amounts of people that were just going to come out to see. Hey, I want to see this. Look, my niece lives right in that area. I could have drove to her and gone out there and taken a peek at it, but I had you to watch it through you. So I was like, why the hell am I going to go out there? I don't want to get in anybody's way. That's the way I look at it. I just don't want to.
I think that was really what was a satisfying thing for me as a journalist. We kind of sometimes cover a story, we put it out into the world, and people see it or they don't or whatever. This was different. We're telling people like real information in real time. And after the fact, I heard from so many people inside the search zones who were just so thankful that not just we were there, that someone was there, that someone was just giving them repeated information over an hour, if that's what it meant to be. But it was just like it was a calming voice that someone in the outside world is actually looking out for us. So, and that's what I got. Now that's what I got with the chats. And that's something I normally don't I get to do as a journalist, that back and forth, like we could see, like I'm seeing people in the chat now. It's amazing. Like you don't get to do that. And people are asking me questions like we're asking now.
Right.
Do you see any cops? Yes, I don't. How about this road? If you live on XYZ road, beware. There's a helicopter above.
Right.
That was invaluable information.
Road closures. If you live in this area, X, Y, and Z road is closed, due to the search. And I thought it was great. Here's another aspect of what Fox 29 provided. This is all your content that I'm sharing here. Mm-hmm. You had the combination of you on the ground and also the air. This was phenomenal. How much time did the News 29 chopper go up daily, or was it a certain amount of time? Now that this thing is over, maybe we could talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's kind of I don't know the numbers, but I could tell you generally. First of all, in the Philadelphia market, there are 3 news helicopters. We share a helicopter with the CBS affiliate in the market, so every shot is shared. The other 2 stations have their own helicopters. So when something happens, if there's a report of a sighting and we find out about it, our station, they will send the chopper.
Okay.
Send the chopper up, get shots or whatever. The second thing is you will mainly see news choppers up during news times, like in the morning shows, the evening shows, and the night shows. So every night, choppers were up at 10 o'clock because there was a live shot for the 10 o'clock news, and then 10:05 they made fly away. So the choppers were up kind of on a moment's notice, but also when the news was happening. So, but they burned.
Did I lose his audio?
I think so.
Shit.
Hold on, Chris. We can't hear you. Can you hear us?
I think it was something that I did. Hold on. I'll just do something really quick here. All right. We should get him back, hopefully. Let me stop the media. I'll remove that. Yeah, I was fumbling around with the views, and I think that I might have did something with the audio. Oh, let's see. Yeah. So he's not hearing me, maybe. We're not hearing him.
Chris, if you can hear us, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah,
No.
so he can't hear us. Interesting.
All right.
So maybe if he goes back out, let me just kick him out. And
How about now?
Yeah,
Oh, we're here. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. I was sharing some stuff, and it just went. The audio just cut out. It was on your end, so I don't know. But
Yeah,
whatever-
I think it was on my mind. I think my phone. Hold on. Let me try something else.
No, it's working.
it's working now.
Are we back now?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
working. Yeah.
Okay, I had to click back my earphones.
Chris, can I ask you a technical question? If you know,
Try.
your camera that you have with you, what is its low light capabilities? What kind of functionality does it have for low light?
I have no clue.
Is your
Does that answer your question?
Okay.
We have. I can tell our cameras. What makes our cameras great? Like an iPhone is a great camera. It's really great camera.
I agree.
It's almost as good as our. I think they're roughly $50,000 to $60,000 rigs that are new, like a news, one of the big news rigs. What makes those so expensive, I think, what makes them good is the zoom capability. They haven't the lens, we call it the glass. The glass on the camera is the camera. It's not necessarily the 4K. Everything's 4K, but it's the lens. So that's what the news cameras are really. That's what you look for, is the lens. So is it the low light? Yes, they pick up light, but they also pick up distance as well, and that's what makes them great.
Okay. Do you know anything about the cameras on the choppers? Do they have forward-looking infrared on the choppers?
I don't think so. Not
Okay.
like heat-seeking infrared. They might have like a night vision kind of, but not like a FLIR kind of thermal. Nothing like that.
Okay. All right. Just thought I ask.
All right.
What they do have a really good camera. I mean, you see how tight that is. That goes in on that. I mean, you could see, what, what jurisdiction he's in, or what, who he works for, what department he works for. And what also makes the helicopters is the gyro on them. It's the steadiness you see. That again, that's what makes a great a news helicopter. Some other applications news helicopters have that sometimes was utilized. I don't think we did. There's an overline mapping kind of thing. So even like on this shot right here, it may say Fairview Boulevard, so you know exactly where it is, and it's kind of a map overlay. But the technology, honestly, we don't fly in the helicopter. That's kind of their own thing. We just kind of get the picture. So I don't really know the technology there.
Do you have a special drone team?
Our videographers yes. We have a Fox drone team, but they are our staff videographers who go through the Fox flight school, which is like a week-long course, and they all have their Part 107 drone licenses. And it's the way Fox's drone program, it's really, really like they have to keep up with their hours. They have a special app that we only can get flight approval at a certain times, and we're pretty strict when it comes to flying the drones.
All right, I'm going to get to some of the questions now. I'm going to put us all back on. I'll have that playing in the background. So I have a couple that came into DutyRon.com, about 4 here. So grin and bear this. But these are easy questions. What happened to the person that was on that scissor lift that got injured? This is coming from Anne from California.
Wow. That's funny. She brought that. You know, I've done it. That's the first time I thought about that in so long. Real quick story on that. We were on the side of the road. There was a sighting, I believe, and there was a bunch of media that inside of a cornfield, and all of a sudden this industrial scissor lift shows up out of the blue, and we're like, "Where's this coming from?" And the backstory was a guy tried to rent the scissor lift out to the media to get a shot of, it was a dark cornfield. There wasn't much to see. And none of the media wanted to do it. So he said, yeah, I'm going to go up there myself and take a picture. So he started raising the scissor lift and it collapsed. And he was EMS called, is that, yeah, there's the video.
I'm a badass, Chris.
Look at you, huh?
I don't
Look
F around.
So this had nothing, and this goes to my point. This person took this industrial scissor lift, and now there was a full response by EMS because this guy was being a looky-loo. And God forbid that they needed those EMS for something. So that was just, again, we were streaming and we're like, oh my God, this just happened. So we showed the whole thing, and I was kind of describing it and things like that.
You were actually out for a shot. I think you were doing like some coverage, or the 9 or 10 o'clock or whatever, because your camera guy, he was out in the street. Or maybe you were just going forward to a location where they were.
Yeah, we were just getting, I think we were at a roadblock, and he was just getting pictures of it, and he was the one that told me. He was like, a scissor. I was like, what the heck was that? And the scissor lift collapsed.
Our script and our report for our 10 o'clock news, which is coming up in just about 24 minutes from now. So I do have to go. I will be here. I'll try to put a...
So this is a little bit of a taste for the audience of what Chris was doing for the 10 plus days that he was out there. He was jockeying, juggling phones, juggling emails, looking at communications from his office, and live streaming. So this guy was doing it all.
So you can hear it.
And then this all unfolds in front of him. I saw this live, actually, and then I was live while this was happening, and then I showed a little bit of it, and I thought that maybe one of the officers got hit by a car, is what I thought. And then people in the chat were all like, no, that's somebody brought that in, and thank you for explaining that. And for those of you who are watching, how badass is it that I was able to pull that out of all of my folders and do a quick...
No kidding.
I didn't even know what day that was. I just clicked on I have a folder of Chris from Fox 29, all of your stuff. And I just said, let me check on this one. Boom. I clicked on it and I got it. So let's go to the other questions. Chris said, okay, I'll give you the option not to answer this or not, but I still want to ask it. This comes from one of our friends in Los Angeles, California. This comes from Anna. The first one was from Anne. This one's from Anna. Chris said he could never be a cop because of his background. What was it?
Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I had to bring down the phone.
Hold on a second.
Real quick, what you're saying...
Was it a joke or was that true? You said it on your live stream.
I did say it on my live stream. I have no criminal background.
Okay.
I have no criminal history. I should say I was never convicted.
Ed's looking it up right now. Ed's a private investigator. He's looking.
You can look at it. You can look at it.
LexisNexis has a whole lot on you, there, Chris.
Oh no, there might be.
Don't look at it. Don't look. So Anna from California, Chris said yes. He said that on his live stream, but he doesn't.
Yeah, no. What I meant by that, honestly, I don't have the discipline to be in law enforcement. It is just, it's such a tough job. although our jobs mirror in many different ways, the schedules we take up, the time away from our families, it's kind of high pressure. So we mirror. I just could never be a police officer. I couldn't have the discipline. I don't have that.
I respect it.
That's what I meant. But nothing in my past. No,
all right. One of our good friends, and I hope that do you have time? I don't want to.
I have time.
Okay,
yeah, I got time.
So, retired Irish detective who happens to be. I worked in East New York, Brooklyn, Brownsville, Brooklyn for almost 6 or 7 years on patrol, and this is one of the guys I worked with. So we've reconnected. His name is Retired Irish Detective. So he says, Ron, ask him about his cursing on the air. Did you curse on the air?
Is the internet the air?
Yes.
It is not the air.
Okay,
let's put that out there.
Fox, right?
When we talk about the air,
okay,
trust me, it's a fine line.
Okay, fair enough.
Over the air is broadcast. There could be a lot of fines if you curse over the air. Yes. During my broadcast, again, I was wearing a microphone. I'm doing a ton of things. As I'm doing this, like you see, but I was also getting tips. My producers are calling me. My photographer is telling me information. I'm posting on other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to follow other people and finding out and we're also trying to drive.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on, and I'm trying to information I was trying to get out. So it's kind of sometimes I'm scatterbrained. So when you're doing that,
I didn't witness the whole thing, so I had no idea about this. So.
When we were doing this, like I have a little switch on the microphone. I can turn it when I'm having a private conversation during the stream. I'll just kind of pot it down. I usually tell people, but I forgot a couple times, and I forgot more than that. So I slipped and I said a bad word. I normally, first of all, that's kind of how I talk.
Yeah, of course.
But my mom was listening.
Right.
And she's probably listening now.
Oh, boy.
And she called me. She texted me, you have a hot mic. And that is one word. The word I said is one word my mom does not like. You don't say the F word.
We all have cursing. We're all adults here. And, listen, Ed, you love when I play this one.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
But yeah,
Bueller.
It's like you weren't live on a live shot on the air with the news at 10 or 11 or 6 o'clock.
No,
this was a live stream, and you know what? I'm also too. I've had open mics. I've had all kinds of things that I didn't want people to hear. Personal conversations. I have a mute button here. I have a whole control deck here. I have one of these, and I also have a couple of gunshots. All right, so listen, let's move on. Thank you for answering that. I hope I didn't put you on the spot.
No.
I hope you'll still come back, because we'd like to still have you back again. What was it like? And this comes from Tina in the United Kingdom. She says, Chris, what was it like hearing Cavalcante's mother over the loudspeakers on the ground and coming from the air? This is an interesting one because, as you can see, people pay close attention. And Tina in the United Kingdom, she wants to know your thoughts on that.
When it was happening, we weren't understanding what was happening. Again, we're outside a little bit. At that, where we're a little bit closer, heard the helicopters and heard speakers. Again, it was in Portuguese, and it was in the distance, so we weren't sure what it was. And then we heard the same thing on the ground, and then we kind of figured they're trying to communicate with him. And then we figured, well, we heard it was a woman's voice. Again, we're not piecing it all. They didn't tell us right then. It was shortly after, when we heard the message, someone had, I guess, translated it, and we found out it was his mother. Once I found that out, I was like, man, they're trying everything. They're not only, trying everything, but what they're trying is they're trying to appeal to his heart. I heard my mom talking, that may change things for me. So my first thought was, it was chilling just to, I was always trying to put myself in his shoes, what he's, what's going through his mind, what was thinking. And then to hear that, be like, wonder what I would think if my mom would be, telling me to give myself up.
Yeah, it reminded me of some psyops
Right. Yeah, something you'd see in a movie, like when they're in, at war somewhere. You'd hear it on these.
No, actually, it wasn't a movie, a Tom Cruise movie, right? One of his first
Saving
movies.
Private Ryan. Maybe?
No, Tom Cruise.
Okay, but I'm
when
saying
when he was in the military academy, and that was what was the name of it? I'm having a brain fart. What was it?
we're getting old. This sucks getting old.
Come on, chat, jump in here. What was the name of the movie? Tom Cruise was in the military academy, and they
Taps.
There you go. There we go. Now
That was filmed right about 20 minutes from here, Valley Forge Military Academy.
That's right. That's right.
All right, let me get back to these questions because I'll get crucified if I don't get to them all, and then I have to show some pictures from Chris's Twitter account. From Joan in East Tennessee, she says, "Chris, were you ever scared for your life or your camera crew? Thank you, and we appreciate your coverage."
Well, thank you. I appreciate. First of all, the people. Again, that's why we do it. We do it for the people who are watching and in the chat. So thank everyone for even reaching out to us. I can't say I ever was. I've been through a lot as a journalist. I can't really say I was scared. I was aware. I was. I can't even say I was nervous. Maybe anxious was the right. Just you were kind of on edge. But what I really noticed is a day later when he was caught, I was driving around cornfields, looking in cornfields, like looking, and the guy was already caught. So I was like, "Whoa, I gotta take a breath here." I can't tell you, it was emotionally draining. Just like you're up all night, and then when I was lucky enough to live fairly close, within a half hour of the searches, and when I get home, I can finally relax, but then I turn on the scanner and listen to the scanner all night. And then wake up in the morning, was it caught? And so, I was kind of emotionally invested in the whole thing. But again, that's why we do what we do. We're journalists, we're storytellers.
Right.
And when we know something, especially like this, people were watching and people were engaged, and it was an important story. So was I ever scared? No, I can't say that I was. I get scared more of a mouse than I did of that. But
hey, I wanted to see by a show of hands of all the friends here in the chat, how many of you guys have watched Chris's live coverage? Put a 1 in the chat if you've watched his live coverage. Let's do it again. Put a 2 if you never saw this young man's videos and all of his live streaming. Chris is going to be celebrating a birthday, October 5th. It's coming up. So almost creeping up on your birthday. You only turned 29 once, right, Chris?
I wish I was still a young man, but that's okay. I can always say, I always tell people, I don't care about my age. I was born in the summer of love, 69. So I could say I was born in the 60s.
All right. Well, me and Ed got you beat by quite a bit. We're 64.
My Mustang was born in that same year.
Ah, nice.
We're 64 babies. So this April coming up, I'll be 60 years old. So it's just
I'm already 60.
It's just a number. So
just a number.
Let's show a little bit of your Twitter feed if you don't mind, and I have it linked in the description. Everyone go and follow Chris. Follow the Fox 29 YouTube page. He's also got a Facebook Fox 29 group. I have it all linked in the description. There's like 1,500 people here in the chat watching, so thank you guys for being here. There's Yoda. This is a great picture. I love that you put this up on your Twitter. I think I actually retweeted this.
The force is strong with this one.
Yeah.
Well, do you know Johnny Castro? I don't know if you know about him. He's a great story. You guys need to know. Johnny Castro is known for all of his artwork. I want to say exclusively of fallen firefighters and police officers. And once in a while, he does something special, like the dog. So his art is all about law enforcement.
Nice.
I love it. I'm going to go and follow him. I want to play this little clip. It's just seconds long, but this was a dedication for all the work these guys did. There he is. I'll let it play again. Awesome. I love that promo. And that just goes to show you all the different people in your studio, people back in the studio, people in the field. There was other people that filled in. I wanted to ask you, because it was part of one of the questions, Chris. You weren't working the day that he was captured. Were you off, or was that like a planned thing? Because we noticed that there was somebody else filling in, and that was one of the questions. It was asked in a little bit of a different way, so I lightened it up a little bit. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I want to hear how it was asked. First of all,
you don't want to hear how it was asked, because it was in defense of you, and I don't want to cause any. They were like, it was. Just trust me on it. I'll tell you after we're done.
Well, if you're asking, like, since I covered it so heavily, was I like upset or disappointed I wasn't there?
Yeah.
Not at all. I really wasn't. Again, I've been doing this a long time. News happens, and news happens when I'm on duty. News happens when I'm not on duty. And I was just glad he was captured. I don't care about if I was there when it happened. No, I was there enough to again, I did my part. It was a team. It's not just one person. Our station is made up of more than 150 people who put on the news and create content, and it's just kind of part of it. So I don't know. I hope that answers the question.
I like that, because you checked your ego at the door. We're part of the team, right? So we heard that before, Ed. This sounds very familiar, right?
There's no I in team.
Yeah. So, sometimes you're there and sometimes you're not. And this all unfolded in the morning. Chris is a night guy, and he had the night duty probably right, the night before, and so forth. So all good. The reason I didn't read the question the way it was asked is because it was derogatory towards the guy who was covering for you, so I didn't want to put that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I get
that's why I didn't do.
No, again, we all have different styles too of the way.
And used to you, and that's what it was, and they were just it wasn't the same without Chris. Here's some photos. Did you get a chance? This is another question. To see Yoda, I'm sure you got a chance to see many dogs. Did you see this particular dog, Chris?
I did not, but I can tell you a really great story about that dog. I can tell you
the best picture right here.
So Yoda, I talked to a woman who came up to me the day after, and she wanted to thank me for the stream, and she was one of the ones who was in there. One of these, she owns a 70-acre horse farm. With no horses on it right now. It's being rehabbed, but it's just an open land of several barns, several stalls, and a big horse arena for show horses. So she came up to me and she said, "Thank you for everything." Which, I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's great. She goes, "I haven't slept in 3 days because 2 of these days, the U.S. Border Patrol BORTAC was in my horse barn, and when I woke up in the morning, I saw they captured Cavalcante, and it was those guys who were in my horse arena for 2 nights, and that damn dog. That's the ones who captured him." And I'm like, "The dog? You sure?" So we compared, and she goes, "Yeah." And the picture you just showed was 3 BORTAC agents and Yoda the day before capture. They were just in her horse arena. And the picture you had shown, there's 3 of them. Yeah, that's the picture. That's from her. That picture was taken by Border Patrol, and she goes, "That was my guy. Those my guys." So that's how we got to know. And I said, "Do you remember that dog?" Here's the odd part about this and how things and information moves. She was with that dog for 2 days. Well, the dog was on her property.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What's the name of the dog?" And she goes, "I never got the name of the dog. I know all the guys' names. Let me find out." So she texted me back and she says, the dog's name is Tucker. And I said, "Okay." So I tweeted, this is Tucker.
This is how it happened.
Okay. Now we know where Tucker came from.
And then within a few minutes, as things go, people say, "Yo, you got it wrong, Chris. It's Tucker was mentioned in the press conference." And I hadn't listened to that part of the press conference. I didn't know who Tucker was. Right. I just thought that was the name of the dog. And everyone was like, "No, Chris, you have it mixed up." And I'm like, Did I mess up the name of the dog? And I ended up messing up the name of the dog. I had to call Washington, D.C. I got Border Patrol, Public Affairs on the phone. They said, we cannot release the name of that dog. And I said, guys, you know, the world thinks it's Tucker. Do you want him named Tucker? There were 100,000 people who saw that tweet. I said, I need the dog's name. They said it's Yoda.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got to tell you, Chris, thank you for telling me about that because I was so pissed. I made a post and I'm going to show it. This is on my community tab. So I made a post and up here, I don't know, small lettering, but it says edited it. I put in Canine Tucker. Right. And here there's 348 comments below it. And a bulk of the comments are people correcting me.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's not, I'm going to look for it. Let's see.
And I even put it in the correction in the tweet. Like I said, but you know, you can't, you know, the milk was spilled. But again, it's just kind of you know, trying to get information out and trying to, and I thought, you know, my contact is the dog. They said it was Tucker, but she got it mixed up.
It was done in good faith, and that's all good. So I want to just go to the chat because these were the written questions. So 5 minutes in the chat. Lexi, a good friend, channel member, she says, #Ed Wallace, Yoda's net worth. Do we have a way, is there, and this is serious, is there a way to send donations or anything to the dog handler? That would be through Customs and Border Protection, right? In El Paso?
From what I understand, sorry.
You good?
I think the Eagles must have scored. I'm outside the state Lincoln Financial Field right now, so I think it was either gunshots or fireworks, and thank God it was fireworks.
I got my Giants jersey here, my Strahan jersey. So.
I got boo. Sorry, we're done.
Interview over. Hold on a second.
Oh, hell no.
Well, hold on. You know what? I'm going to show something. Since you showed that, I got to show this.
I saw a hat. I was going to show this picture. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hey, Chris, what's a Philly bagel?
Look at that hat. Take your screenshots, folks.
Yeah, right. Take it. What's a Philly bagel?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to ask.
It's a pretzel.
There it is in front of the stadium.
There you go.
Who is this guy? Chris,
you're quick
on you. I don't play. This is the closest you're going to get to the Fox studio right here.
Chris, at this point, I think he's stalking you.
No, my homework. I did my investigative report.
Yeah, he's a cop. He's a detective.
Yeah,
he's a warrants detective. That's right. He'll track you down.
It's like you calling your guy a cameraman. You don't call me a cop. Chris, I want to just reel it in. Your coverage was phenomenal for a first time, out live streaming guy. You were juggling a lot of different things, but when it came down to it, you provided the content that everybody was longing for and wanting to see. And people, I did that quick poll in the chat here. I didn't see any number twos. I said number one if you watched. I didn't see any number twos. It was just a bunch of number ones for watching you. Ed Wallace is smiling because he sees all the smirky comments. So
I'm watching everything.
Everybody, I mean, my chat here is we have some of the most classy and best YouTube chatters.
And funny.
The folks are funny, but they're respectful. And that's one of the great parts about building a community like this. And Chris, again, like you said, it was kind of a first time out thing. If you don't have like moderators to moderate your chat, it could get ugly, and it does get ugly.
I learned this is my first rodeo with YouTube. You people are nuts.
I volunteer to help moderate your chat. I could do that for you. It just costs you a couple of beers every once in a while when I make it or a Philly cheesesteak sandwich from Joe's when I come down there every once in a while. But I mean, so that's the thing is like you did provide an unbelievable, great that platform that you took from Fox and went live with was like nothing that the YouTube community has ever seen really in recent past. The only thing that I can remember was the Gabby Petito thing. So you did a phenomenal job with someone with very little experience with live streaming. You interacted with your audience the best that you could. And people don't forget that you're 144,000 or more subscribers on that Fox YouTube channel. I don't know what it was before you guys started with this, but I don't think it was that.
Yeah.
No, and it's
Yeah, it's a different way. It's not the way normal operations for local news. But again, it's the way it is going to be. It has to be. That's where viewership is. That's where people expect to get their news now. So it's you're starting to see that migration to that.
I just saw a question in the chat. Here it is. I got to get it right here. My only question is Ed married? From Lisa with a bunch of hearts. Ed, he's married. I'm married, but I don't have my wedding band on. I'm married almost 32 years. Actually, 33. We're going on 33. And
God bless.
Yeah.
34.
33 and 34, respectfully. So here's the thing. There's a question that's geared towards me and Ed, and I want to answer this because I feel that the Lieutenant Colonel answered this loud and clear. It's about the photo op. The photo op with Danelo Cavalcante outside of what was that? Little's John Deere of Pottstown, right, where he was apprehended. I didn't see any problem with it because they weren't holding him by his head. They weren't disrespecting him. They just took a photo. The blood, sweat, and tears that those guys put into 14 days of searching, there's nothing wrong with it. There's people who are out there that get offended by it. Go and try looking for somebody in heavy brush for 14 days through 90+ degree temperatures with 95% humidity, deer ticks, indigenous wildlife, snakes, and all kinds of stuff that's out there. Now, I don't think that that's showboating. They did it quick and they were done with it. Ed, your thoughts on it?
No, they earned it. Okay, they earned that photo. I don't think his rights were violated. I don't think anything was humiliated. He did, look, he escaped. He put the whole area on basically a lockdown, scaring the bejeebers out of everybody. And so you're telling me that a photo that took all of what, couple seconds?
Yeah.
Is going to cause so much controversy. Look, there are people that walk around life always looking to be offended. Well, those people are always going to be offended because everything offends them. It's not rational. Okay. They did nothing wrong.
100%. Chris, I know the media asked that question of Lieutenant Colonel at the presser. I know you weren't there. Can I ask your thoughts on it?
I wasn't. I guess it didn't bother me. I honestly thought that it was, I don't want to say customary or tradition to show a picture like that as a deterrent for, look what we did. You don't want to end up like me.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure, as long as it was legal and no policies were broken, I'm fine with.
Yeah, no policies were broken. We did lose him. Maybe he got a phone call. Who knows? So yeah, I mean, look. Hopefully he can come back. I don't know what he's using his phone, so somebody might have called him or texted him. Oh, he knows what to do. He's a pro. So we lost him. It's probably the same thing. He might have got a text message or he might have got a phone call. But who knows? But again, Karen from the UK says, I'm often offended that people get offended. Thank you, Karen. I wanted to highlight that.
But is it reasonable? Okay.
So like Chris was saying, no rules were broken. They weren't pointing guns at him. They weren't throwing him down on the ground. They took
he wasn't being degraded.
Yeah. Sometimes, and I want to just say this, sometimes when I made like good gun arrests, I would take pictures of the guns and they would be out on the table. And then sometimes if we were debriefing a guy and it was a big, large cache of drugs or something like that, we would take the photo and then the cells would be in the background sometimes when we were in the squad. And you would see that. So there was nothing wrong with it. For me, I just felt like I said, I haven't seen that in a long time. So as a seasoned law enforcement professional, I don't remember the last time I saw something like that. When, you know, we look at military, you see that in the military when we were fighting the war on terror. You would see that when some ISIS, you know, folks would be taken into custody. You would see pictures and so forth. But I found nothing wrong with it. And Chris, I hope you fixed did you fix the audio? Oh, no. Yeah, maybe unplug and then plug back in. Yeah, he's back now. I hear him now.
Like there's, you know, the famous Ernest Hemingway quote, right? You familiar with that? There's no hunting like the hunting of man.
Street crime. We had it on the back of the shirt.
That's right. And those who have hunted armed men long enough and like it never care for anything else.
There you go. So DutyRon coming in from Pauline Rabb. She says the DutyRon, was the black lab's name Morgan? I'm not sure, but I saw that there was a black lab. No, and Chris, we still can't hear you. I don't know why. Damn it. Maybe could go out of the link and then come back in on the link. So
hey, Ron.
Yeah.
I want to share a couple photos before we close the show.
But I don't want to end it with Chris not having the last word. I wanted to give him last word. So I'm gonna delete him out of the stream and have him come back in and let him come back in. So let me remove him. Let's see. Kick him out and then hopefully he'll come back. Go ahead, Ed.
All right, I'm going to share some photos of it's canines.
Okay.
All right, so okay, so here we go. Now that's a badass canine.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, again, you know you're badass when you have your own holstered attack dog.
Wow.
I wouldn't want to mess with these guys. All right, next one. Oh, what the hell's that? Stop.
Let me get that
What
off.
is that? Yeah, take that off. I don't know what that is. Hold on. All right, let me get my next one.
I'm sending Chris the link again. Paste.
I'm gonna do it again.
Hopefully he comes back.
Okay. Windows.
Ryan, our good friend Ryan, says that is cool. Ali said that's badass. Oh,
airborne canine. Okay.
Nice.
Let's see what's next here.
I'll take it off so we don't show any more.
Nope, that's not it. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Hold on. Let me get to my next one.
All right, Chris is going to try to come back. He just sent me a message. He's rebooting his phone. Hopefully he comes back. Any questions for Chris? Put them in the chat. If you, Belgian Malinois, because German Shepherds need heroes too. That's a good one. That's a good one. I love it.
All right, and I got an autographed picture of Yoda. What Yoda's really like.
Okay, Chris is back. Let's go. Give me the Yoda autographed picture of Yoda. Chris, you back?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you get a call or maybe a text?
I did get a call, and I do have to get going.
Okay. All right. So let's. Ed's showing a lot of his comedy now. This is the comedy portion of the program. So let's get back on with Chris. Hey, Chris, the community here on YouTube, we want to say thank you to what the time you took away. I know you were working. This was part of your job, but you gave so much more by going that extra. Going that extra yard and giving us the extra content. So the community here on YouTube wants to say thank you to you for what you did with the Danelo Cavalcante escaped prisoner. And I wanted to just get your final thoughts for the crew out here.
Well, I'm first of all, again, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate the conversation. It's been a story for me that, it's one of these stories that you'll always remember. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad that it ended the way it did without any further bloodshed or lives lost. and I'm glad these people can get on with their lives. And now now it's kind of looking for answers as to how this happened and preventing something like this from happening again. But on the positive side, I met a lot of great people through the stream, connected with a lot. We did some good work. So I'm proud of the work we did, and thanks for having me tonight.
I hope Ed and I are considered some of the good people you met through the stream. So
Absolutely, really, it was awesome.
Chris, if you can, when you have time in the future, if we have other stories, will you promise to come back?
Yes, just you got my number now, guys.
Yep.
All right.
I'll share it with Ed. Have a good night. Go Eagles. I hope you guys get. What's the score? You got anything on the score?
I don't even know. I got to go find out. Someone said
shit.
10-7. Someone said 10-7, but I don't even know.
It's the home opener. We got to take it. I'll be an Eagles fan for one night.
Thank you.
Crying out
Use
loud.
all the help.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Take care, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. Take it easy. There he goes. Chris from Fox 29. That was an unbelievable hour, Ed, and it went by so fast with Chris. We had a lot of fun. We incorporated some comedy with some of serious conversation, and we were able to pull up some of the great content that he provided us here on YouTube. I want to encourage everyone, if you're not yet subscribed here to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell, giving us a thumbs up on this video. Let us know what you thought of our special guest, Chris O'Connell from Fox 29, down below in the comments section. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and all social media. One word, DutyRon. Timmy Acosta's in the chat, and he said it was a great show. Ed, any thoughts we sometimes the news is our best, friends, and sometimes with police, it could be kind of our worst enemies, not on purpose, but maybe they might just give a little too much of information. But it's a give and take in this thing. They have to report the news, and I mean, sometimes we could use them for some really good things for us on our end. Any thoughts on the media here? And he's one of the good guys.
Well, in terms of his coverage, it was great coverage. It was giving the public what they needed to hear to make them more comfortable with what was going on around them. I mean, nobody likes a news blackout, especially if you're living in the area of concern. And so he was giving them what they needed to hear to make them comfortable.
Right. And I thought it was an important, it was a different look. It was important for consumers to see that, hey, some of these news reporters can be just regular people, just like us. We heard him with his mom. He just in case you don't know about it, he got a phone call from his mom, and there was some expletives back and forth. That was a pretty funny part of the show. He was on a hot mic, and he thought he had it muted, and he was dropping some F-bombs on the YouTube live stream. Mm-hmm. But again, it just showed the human part of Chris. And here's his Twitter account. I want everyone to go over there, and he asked me to share his Twitter, so I want to share that here on the screen. So this is his Twitter. He's there at he's there at the stadium. This is some live footage from Eagles home opener. So everyone's tailgating and having a good time. This is good stuff. I mean, I'm a big football fan. I'm a Giants fan, not an Eagles fan, but this is some coverage from Chris's Twitter account. But if you go and you scroll down, there's that big hat that he put on. If you go and scroll down, you'll see the Cavalcante coverage, which is down here. It's got some great stuff in his Twitter feed. And if you want to follow this, here's the walkout from this is when he came out from being interrogated after getting hospital and medical treatment. He's walking out barefoot from the
Danelo, any comment?
and there was a bunch of residents, like people from the community, on the berm behind here with the cameras out. Ed, did you see the Customs and Border badge on the side right there?
Yeah.
So that's an armored vehicle. Yeah. Barefoot. So yeah, go on over to his Twitter account, subscribe, and yeah, there's a lot more that we're going to talk about on this.
And that vehicle was custom in Borders as well.
Yeah, it said it right there.
Yeah, but hey, that picture you showed of tailgating, that's not tailgating.
Listen, we don't want to insult the Philly fans.
It's not tailgating. You want to see tailgating, you go to Louisiana State University, and then you'll see tailgating.
I understand that, but now that Chris is gone, you're going to do that to him like that? We're not going to do him dirty like
Got
that.
nothing to do with Chris.
That was tailgating in Philly style. Anyways, all right. Popeye's laughing now, and he just said the F word. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been our extended coverage with Fox 29's news reporter, Chris O'Connell. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did. I had a fun time. He's just like a regular guy, just like one of us. And we now know he was born in '69, so he's younger than us. So
that's right.
We could tease him about being a rookie. On behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, I want to wish you guys a good Thursday evening. We're not going to have Forensic Friday because Ed's been working overtime. Look at him. He's
yeah, I'm going to have to go through this YouTube 12-step process because,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed, and I'm a YouTubeholic.
I have a problem. Thank you, everyone, for becoming channel members and for the support. Let me look at the starred messages because I just realized I didn't do that. Holy shit, there's a lot of them here. Retired Irish Detective, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Ed, ATF, stop by for coffee. LOL. Sandra sends in a $10 super sticker. Thank you, Sandra. Salty C is a member for 21 months and just checking in. Monique, we highlighted this on the stream. Michelle, thank you. Michelle Bell, thank you for the $5 super chat. Miss Donna Marie, member for 22 months. Wow, great job, Canine Officer Yoda. Thank you, Donna, and thank you for being a great moderator and friend. Michelle Enriquez, she became a member. Welcome to the family. Thank you for being a member. Welcome. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Anika, remember her? Where have you been? I haven't seen her in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
She's a member for a month, and we thank you and we appreciate you being here. Another member for 11 months. My membership ends soon, but I still will be here. How about that, Ed? So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, listen, again, we understand everyone's financials change from time to time. As long as you are a subscriber, that's what it counts. Being a member is also important too, but we appreciate everyone for being here. Lilac Whispers, thank you for the super sticker. Robbie's going to go broke. He's sending us a lot of super stickers and super chats. Hello, all you wonderful people. Thank you, Lilac, for the super sticker. Little Bear, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Little Bear Paws, appreciate it. Ryan, this is my good friend from Periscope, asking a question: if the prisoner stole the rifle and shot someone, could the homeowner where the weapon was stolen from be charged? Why or why not? No charges would be to the homeowner, and again, that was not a sawed-off or modified rifle as reported by News Nation. That simply not true. And the homeowner, I think Ryan was going for the failure to safeguard a firearm. I don't think that they can't charge him with anything.
No, I don't think they would either.
An escaped murderer got into his garage while he was in there. He popped off shots at him. No charges levied. That's everything, Ed. We're going to continue the 12-step program. Ed, we're going to continue it.
Step one. Okay. In the meantime,
yeah,
I got to go take care of my parents.
You have something to say, I think.
Yes, always. Stay safe, stay prepared, watch your six.
And to everybody out there, we're sending you guys our thanks and appreciation. But to the victim of Danelo Cavalcante, I just want to say this because, this was just a horrific crime that was committed by this evil monster. So I'm sending their families because they are now breathing a sigh of relief. Strength, prayers, and positive vibes. Stand by for a message from the cop team. That's Kara, Oscar, and Popeye. Good night, guys. Thank you. Ed, thank you.
Thank you.